a sister, a daughter, a niece, a friend, and a student. Diane is an originally challenged human who's turned a corner to accept the spiritual essence and nurture the love within, and who is happily on her journey to complete fulfillment. Welcome to the podium, Diane. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Should I hit the got it here?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Good morning to everyone here. Good morning to everyone there, wherever your here is. Thank you, Reverend Gina, and thank you, Reverend Lisa, for the invitation today to be here. I appreciate it. And how awesome it is to be here in person, right? Yay! I'm not behind the camera. But how much more awesome it's going to be able to share words with you today. I have to refer to Reverend Lisa's sermon last week on faith. It takes a leap to get there, right? To understand there is an essence with such an all-encompassing support. Call it spirit, call it God, the universe, the more and ever more, the I-you relationship, the big bright white light, however you feel and understand this presence in your world. This happened for me about two and a half years ago when I wrote a note to Spirit acknowledging my need for help and asking for it. In the decades before this, Spirit and the accompanying messages to me were just subjects I could study when it suited. I could integrate it according to my timeline. I could say, hey, I feel like it. Hey, I don't feel like it. And that's where I was at for many, many years. Boy, was I caught up in the wrong messages and my ego, hey? However, through personal, then spiritual counseling and study, I have developed a fuller sense of the all-encompassing love, gratitude, kindness, acceptance, and that's available to all. It's not 100% ingrained yet, but I'm working on it. My talk today is on the state of grace. This phrase is defined in Merriam-Webster Dictionary as having asked God to forgive one's sins, a state of sanctification. One person I asked said, well, you have to give something to get it, which as a basis, there's that too. Per my online search, it's the freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. And my favorite, the influence or spirit of God operating in humans to regenerate and strengthen them. Your understanding is your own. I would like to share a writing on the goodness of state of grace, a topic I explored in my last meeting with my human spirit guide, Tom Stella. Just a sentence on this man. He was ordained because he's been so instrumental to me. He was ordained in 1972 as a Catholic priest, and over time, learning, books, instruction, life, resigned from the order, and now he exercises his call for ministry as a hospice chaplain, as a spiritual director, as a retreat facilitator, a writer. He's my teacher, and I know every Sunday he goes down to Pueblo Federal Penitentiary so that he can visit inmates there. So that's his Sunday. Instead of being in church, though he's probably there too. This was given to me by Tom, and I don't have it. I don't have a reference on this, and I will certainly be in touch with him to try and figure out where he brought these things from. And what I'm going to read to you is called Grace That's Last. Just like what we heard. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Though many dangers, toils, and snares we have already come, 'twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praises than when we'd first begun. What a beautiful song. There's a person on the planet that has not heard the song. Maybe not all of the words, because generally there's just a lot of music in the background and I can't, usually the first chorus is good. And then after that, I kind of just pretend. Is there a singer who hasn't sung it? Is there anyone who does not resonate with its truth? The words are those of John Newton, a slave trader who was lost in and blind to the evil he perpetuated until one day, after a near-death experience at sea, he saw the light and changed his ways, right? It's often the case that we need a wake-up call in order to see that we've gone off course, lost our way, become someone we don't recognize and may not like very much. Without realizing it, we can drift from true north, wander from the innocence that used to be who we used to be. Our faults may not be as glaring as those of John Newton, but the subtle sense of not rightness that we feel that may visit us from time to time can be unsettling. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Being saved is not merely a matter of being made aware of and rescued from our wayward ways, but a finding and seeing within ourselves a presence we have lost touch with, one that holds and enfolds us no matter how far we astray. We may have wandered. We easily forget there is an infinite and benevolent spirit in whose eyes we are the apple on our worst as well as our best days. This is what is so amazing about this grace presence. It is unconditional, it is invincible, it is sovereign, it is persistent, and it's unrelenting. When we forget this truth, we may feel lost and blind. We can feel like it's game over, but grace bats last. In his book, The Contemplative Heart, psychologist James Finley says it this way: grace amazes us not by resolving our forgetfulness, but by dissolving it in a love that lays bare the preciousness of ourselves and our forgetfulness. In other words, we're safe. In our wretchedness, may not be the result of our having lost our way, but of our thinking that losing our way means that we are less than treasured, cherished, prized, and precious. Grace is the walk-off hit and the game-winning reminder that although we may forget, we're never forgotten, and even though we may be blind, we are always seen through loving eyes. Isn't that nice? All I know is that he printed it on a recycled piece of paper that has something else at the bottom, and I know that's not where it came from. Tom Steller is pretty important in my life, and for these reasons, and being able to bring this type of lesson into my world and be able to share it with you is just a really special thing for me to be able to do. Spirit, help me write these next words for helping your journey to your state of grace, the divinity of our humanity, the sacredness of ourself. Grace is an unconditional benevolence that we can't and shouldn't hide from. So be aware of your senses throughout the day, the week, etc., as they relate to all things that occur. The energies associated to them and the energies you're feeling, the good, the bad, the indifferent. A basic element of our beings are our internal senses, our energy, our ability to tap from and learn from those essences that are way deep in there. You don't think they're around, but they are if you think and you listen. When we tune in, the messages may come from snippets, insights, feelings of rightness, feelings of support, feelings of negative as well. These are the building blocks of growth, and hallelujah when they happen. When you are in this invitation to choose moment, let those positive thoughts be your guide to an alternative, less restrictive angle, something that's more open, especially when there's something that is pushing your buttons. Really easy to just automatically turn into that moment and that reaction you have. I look at it this way, although I think I added this analogy, I may not have. If a person is offered a positive outlet and a negative outlet, chances are they're going the positive route. And these positive routes, along with this positive energy, will allow more space, acceptance of themselves and yourself, and love. As in all things worthwhile, we can't flip that switch to allow spirit and grace to be alive and thriving in us. It takes time and consciousness. Oh, how the old Diane would just have wanted to turn that switch on. However, the comfort that you receive when viewing and reacting from a more forgiving light, when you can be conscious to these pieces, is priceless. The love, the belief, support, and feeling can massage and slowly change these feelings of angst. So one day that heavy traffic won't be such a burden and bother you as much. And maybe the harsh political unrest going on won't have to unrest you so much. As Annie Lamont stated, grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. Nice? Very nice. I have to say, with regard to my journey I told you about last year at this time, I added a prayer to the prayer vessel, asking for support for me to take this journey. Prayers are answered, aren't they? I thank you for allowing me to share this morning. It is, I think I talked faster than I probably should have, but that's the way I work it. Thank you for allowing me to share. And this one's for Reverend Ken. What did the hat say to the hat rack?
What did the hat say to the hat rack?
I'll stay here. You go on ahead. Oh, I got it just backwards. See, I got nervous. The hat to the hat rack. You stay here. I'll go on ahead. Thanks for allowing me to share today. Keep that grace going.